Very good morning to everyone. On behalf of Maharishi Karve Sri Shikshan Sanstha and SNDT Women's University, I take great pleasure to welcome you all for the Day 2 session. We have very interesting keynotes as well as the experts from various institutes. They are going to share their initiatives with us. This is just that we are trying to build the environment. To build the environment to come up with good activities to practice sustainability. It is not just that we are talking and we are going to forget it, but we have to plan something where consistently we will take this concept ahead, and I think the impact is required to be observed during our main conference. I'm not going to take much time because we are already delayed by maybe 20-25 minutes, and the keynotes are going to be very crucial and interesting. So I request Mallika to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite on stage our proactive strategist and executive committee members, Mr. Rahul Bajekar and Mr. Benjamin Itter, to kindly sum up Day 1 of Green Fashion India Prelude. Sir, you can come.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin, go ahead.
Mr. Bajekar, good morning.
Good morning.
So, good morning, everyone. Nice that we meet again, especially good morning to the students, but also to all the faculty members from all the other universities. Good morning to the keynote speakers whom we will listen to shortly. We just want to shortly wrap up day number 1 and what we had spoken about yesterday. So, the word is with you, Rahul.
Well, thank you. I have written down something after last night. It was a little difficult, but I did. We had a fairly entertaining and enlightening session in the morning. We had the honor of listening to a number of stalwarts. Very happy that we could have them. But basically then we got down to the business, if I may call it so, of narrowing down some topics that we could include in the 9th conference of Green Fashion India. The date hopefully shall be announced soon, sometime next year. But we were split into 10 different groups, and we were asked to brainstorm on possible topics for the conference. So perhaps a little bit about the groups, because you were involved.
Yeah, for sure. So we had the main umbrella topic was social sustainability, which we translate also into livelihoods, because livelihoods of those who work actively in the textile industry, having SNDT and SOFT as School of Fashion Technology, with Maharishi Karve also speaking about gender equality, because 80% of those working in the textile industry are women. So as along the whole textile supply chain from fiber to fashion, we have many different aspects. We had this social sustainability also with many different perspectives. Spoke about design, we spoke about communities. There was a thinker group with a more global and perspective from above. We had groups about technology and so on. I don't want to repeat each and every group, but we had very interesting insights, which we also will wrap up and have examples for the upcoming conference in October, which will act as role models where we can look upon, learn, and maybe scale it up or replicate those ideas in our own way. These were the sessions, and what I understood was that mainly we spoke, or maybe you heard it also, about lifestyle and about how can we reach the consumer, because otherwise we speak about something which is mainly theory, but maybe you can share some words about that.
Sure. So, as Benjamin said, there were 10 groups, 10 group leaders spoke about what was discussed, a whole lot of things, but I noted down a few interesting points. Some of the points were consumer education on sustainability, Some people said the role of the government should be investigated. Sustainability needed a support from a marketing perspective. There was talk about ethical production, about quality, about labels, about respect and pride in what is being produced. We had requirements, a suggested requirement of innovation councils, investor support, best practices being spoken about, scalability, the use of social media. We had interesting words, affordable sustainability came up. Sustainability in education, how could that be introduced? Formal, informal courses, etc. A center of excellence was suggested for sustainability, a data repository for knowledge as well as information about who does what. Impact assessment, measurement was suggested. Value for money and slow fashion as opposed to fast fashion. Targeted awareness campaigns and using QR codes perhaps to tell a full story about sustainability. And business practices such as repair, exchange, a whole lot of perspectives or propositions, perhaps even incentives. So these were some of the topics that came up. It leaves us with something quite interesting. It's a complex set of data points, wide-ranging topics. Benjamin already asked all the group leaders to send in top 4 out of them, even research topics. I'd like him to speak a little bit about that. And based on that, I believe the committees or the people concerned will sit and work out what are the best topics for the conference. I think I'm quite confident that we'll come out with the best program, something that will inspire and even excite. The reason why I say excite is we would like the students obviously to contribute, to be there, and therefore something that would inspire them and excite them to be part of this conference. So Benjamin, next steps.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And next steps also looking into the future. One thing we spoke about to maybe establish one course to say what could be the future fashion in 5 years, like across all universities, maybe to invite experts to speak about that, to not only look behind and what the problems had been, but how the world is shaping in the future towards 2030 and beyond, which is very interesting. I just wrap it up in asking and calling all those who had been participating in yesterday's events to please the group leaders or mentors to send us your research ideas as well as those companies which could be initiatives, examples which we could showcase, shed light on at the October conference. Please don't forget it. Please send us your notes also to gfi@soft.ac.in, gfi for Green Fashion India @soft.ac.in. We will then streamline it and we'll share also the results later on. Please be so kind, send us this and you will get an answer very soon. So that's it from us. I think we have many things to listen to.
Absolutely.
Keynotes will come, and thank you for being here, for being awake and being attentive.
Thank you. And just before, the last thing that I'd like to say is thank you very much for being here. And let's give a big hand to people who were there yesterday and contributed to this entire day. Yeah? Thank you. Please come on.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I must say you both inspire us to elevate this platform of Green Fashion India to a greater height. We deeply appreciate every member of this executive team for showing relentless efforts for amplifying GFI and taking it to an extraordinary level in every possible way. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, here we begin our keynotes. I am very honored to invite our keynote speaker, Mr. Ullas Nimkar, President SDC UK and Chairman at Nimkar Tech Technical Services Private Limited. Mr. Nimkar has always been deeply involved with ecological aspects and chemical restrictions in textile and leather industries and their regulations. Sir is also a former advisory council member for the Frankfurt-based International Sustainability Chemistry Collaborative Center, holds Chartered Colorist and Fellowship of the SDC status, and a Fellow of the Textile Association of India. I would like to request you to kindly start with the keynote, sir.
So good morning, and thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's nice to see so many students here now. Are you ready to listen to something new? Okay, so today I stand before you with two hats. My first hat is as the president of the Society of Dyers and Colorists. And I'm very happy to tell you that it is only exactly a week ago, last Friday, that I was actually honored and conferred with this medal at the societies in the United Kingdom. So I'm going to wear it today for the first official event after receiving this. So in 135 years, this is the second time that this medal has come to India. So I'm the second president in 135 years. Very brief background about the society. 1856 was a landmark year, before which all colors were from nature. 1856 was when Sir William Henry Perkin, the gentleman you see over here, in his old age, that was not when he invented, he was a young lad below 30 when he made this invention, that he invented the first dye stuff called movine. Movine is a purple color, that's the shade. And how did this happen? He was actually trying to synthesize quinine, and the reaction went wrong, and it spilled on the table. And then when he used a cloth to clean it, the cloth turned a brilliant shade of mauve and purple. And prior to that, mauve came from a very expensive source. So mauve is associated with the royal family. Only the royal family could afford mauve. After that, he set up his factory, and he was a millionaire before he was 35. And this is his photograph, which has become popular in his old age. Really, we should have another one from his youth, which is also there with the society. So, Society of Dyers and Colorists was established in 1884. But I must tell you a little bit more because it's very interesting. I myself learned this only last week. We think this is 135 years old. But prior to that is Clothworkers Association, which funded the society to start. That is from 1500. So it is over 600 years old. And prior to that is the Dyers Company, which is a company in London on the banks of the River Thames. And this is from 1150. So you're looking at over 1,000 years of coloration. And that's how the industry has grown. Today we have our headquarters in Bradford, and we are a membership organization. We have several categories of memberships. And I would welcome you to join and be a part of this community. My second role is as chairman of Nimkar Tech, which is a consulting company which is now managed by my daughter, who is the fourth generation technologist. She's a chemical engineer also from Leeds. She manages this, and that's her business. So these are ideas for you, all young students over here, that you can be entrepreneurs. Think on those lines. My younger daughter is a shoe designer. Also, she studied at Winchester in England, and she designs women's footwear now. So Nimkar Tech is providing services in training, in testing, and in strategy. Now I want all of you to count. Will you count with me as I count down from 10? So let's start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. That's 10 seconds. Let's see what happened in these 10 seconds. $4,000 worth of damage took place in global economy only due to polluted waters. That's $13 billion a year. 119 tons of hazardous waste was added to the planet. 3,716 tons of fuel was consumed in 10 seconds. 2,000 tons of carbon dioxide was added into the atmosphere due to burning of fossil fuel. 3 children died of preventable diseases. 4 acres of rainforest, that's equivalent to 10 basketball courts, was destroyed. Besides that, 42 children were born, 2 people died, 1 billion did not have access, and so on. Now, surely this is not a sustainable world. And believe me, these statistics are from already 10 years ago. Things are going to be worse now. What is sustainable development? Probably all of you have read this official definition of the United Nations, the Brundtland Commission. Basically, it says development that meets the needs of the future while needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations. In very simple words, it means we need to give back to nature what we take from nature. So to understand what is our ecological footprint, it's 1.7. What it means is that we are consuming 70% more natural resources than what we are allocated per year. So we are actually on EMI, we are taking from our next year's earnings 70%. So let's look at the Earth Overshoot Day. This is a day by which in the year we have finished using the resources that should have been used in that year. So in 1971, it was close to December. So that's when we used the resources more or less frugally and in an efficient manner. Today, that World Overshoot Day in this year is 28th of July. So 28th of July means that by 20th July, we have finished using the resources that we should have been using in the whole year. So we are already eating into next year's. At this rate, we are going to finish the resources. So we live in a world of super plenty today. Plenty of everything. Plenty of people, plenty of products, plenty of money with us, and the world is growing at a very, very rapid pace. Only 2 weeks ago, we crossed 8 billion. 8 billion. 8 billion, that's a lot. When my great-grandfather was born, it was 1 billion. So in just 3 generations, when we got independence, it was 3.5 billion. So in less than 50, 60 years, we have added. The last 1 billion was added only in 11 years. At this rate, where are we going to end? Can we sustain population growth at this speed? At the end of the century, probably we might cross 11 billion. Where will we get the food, resources, water, sanitation, everything? More people, of course, means more consumption, more business. So from that angle, it's good. But it also means more pollution, more waste that we can handle. During pandemic, I think all of us realized that when we open our wardrobes, we only used less than 5%, right? Everything was just lying there. All my suits were just there. Nothing was touched. We have excess of clothing, excess of footwear. And why is this? Somebody did mention this yesterday. It's thanks to fast fashion. Now, what is fast fashion? Let's try and understand. It means its fashion is all about design, production, and marketing strategy that focuses on creating very large quantities of clothing in a very short period of time. By using trend replication and low-quality materials, fast fashion provides a low-cost, trendy garments to the consumer. So the 4 elements are quick, it should be cheap, mass-produced, and trendy. I can recall in the early years when I started my career in the 80s, we had 4 seasons. Clothing was probably spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and so on. And then some you had in-between seasons like spring, summer, and you had autumn, winter, and so on. 6 collections or so. Slowly it increased, and there were other companies that came out with a collection every month. So you had every month a new collection, fast fashion companies. Then it changed. You had a collection every week. So every week you would walk into a mall and you would see a brand new collection, and the prices were exactly the same or prices came down. So it was very easy to buy. Today, you have a collection. There are companies which are producing new designs every single day, 365 days of the year. Now, that is going to be a bigger and bigger challenge. These are produced in factories which are mass-producing factories. Some of the companies I've mentioned over here who have been responsible in providing the world with affordable clothing. These are not necessarily all the names, these are just representative, but they were into the fast fashion. Today, if we look at the industry, it contributes 2.4 trillion. So it's a big industry. 8 billion people, of course, we need clothes. With the employs over 300 million people worldwide. But with these good two positives, there is also a challenge because we have 2 to 8% of world's greenhouse gas production. We have 215 trillion liters of water that is consumed by the industry. So it's a water guzzling industry. Annual material loss is about 100 billion because we just waste so much. And of course, it accounts for a lot of microplastics. That is the newest challenge that is facing mankind. Very brief glimpse so that you get a trend. All clothing once was custom made. Let's say 100 years ago. First ready-made garment factory came in New York in 1831. By 1860, 25% garments in the US were ready-made. By 1890, still 100 years ago, it was 60%. By 1951, it was 90% were ready-made. Nobody can afford to custom make it. Till 1980, clothing production was 1 in 10 jobs. Since then, production has moved to developing countries. No more, the West is not producing this anymore. Today, less than 2% is made in the West. Apparel industry continuously moves to areas of low cost of production. Let's take a quick look. It all started in Britain in the 18th century. That's when we had the spinning jenny, the yarn was spun, the fabric was made, and that's when we know the history. From the United Kingdom, it moved to Japan. This was just after the war, because after the war, Japan was devastated. Textiles was still an industry to look at, and I remember my mother getting special Japanese saris that were called 644 and things like this, which came from Japan. Then the industry moved to areas in the 1970s and 80s to Hong Kong, Taiwan, Republic of Korea, further moving to countries like China, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh. These are the producing countries. They remain even today. This is during the 80s and 90s. Today, we are seeing a fourth geological shift, brand new areas of production, Nicaragua, Madagascar, Ethiopia, other countries in Africa, Myanmar, which was all closed economies until now. They are all opening up and they are offering cheap labor and affordable manufacturing. So we are 8 billion. Average consumption is 8 kilograms. The West, that's say the United States and Europe, is somewhere between 26 and 28 kilograms per annum. On the other extreme, in many African countries, it is less than 1 kilogram per annum. World average is about 8 kilograms. So if we take an average, about 64 billion kilograms of textiles are produced every year. What happens at the end? Either it goes to landfill or it's incinerated. Ideally, we should be looking at recycling. That is the future, that is the only way, because we cannot have any more landfills. If you read the Ellen MacArthur Foundation report, the study shows that less than 1% is recycled today, in the real sense. 73% goes for incineration and to landfill. Fast fashion impact on the planet. This is 59,000 tons go to single one port in Chile. A lot of it goes to other countries in Africa. A lot comes, over 100 containers come every week to a port in India, only for disposal. This is how you see landfills now all over. What happens to these? What is the final fate of these textiles is unknown today. Because what happens in these landfills, municipal landfills, they are not secure landfills. So the dyes and chemicals in them will also degrade, the fibers will decompose, they will leach into the same environment where we have rivers and soil and eventually into the sea. We will need chemicals tomorrow that break down safely. Today, breakdown of anything is almost not studied in my opinion. Also, microfibers are entering the food chain. So I call this as a take, make, and dispose model. That's what we are operating today. So we have resource consumption, excessive water usage, energy inefficiencies, and indiscriminate use and discharge of chemicals that are used. What we need to move towards is a true circular fashion. You will see thousands of articles and you will see hundreds of innovations being advertised, but they are mostly lab scale, and very few have reached the scale of any kind of commercialization. Circularity in its true sense, it should be a garment which becomes a garment again, and the waste has to become a resource. The BBC says that fast fashion is harming the planet, and it indeed is. Key points: high carbon emissions, poor labor conditions, water consumption, excessive land use, water pollution, microfibers, and wasteful resources. The study also shows that 60% of clothes are disposed in the first year, hardly used. And they expect 18.6 million tons of clothing to end up in a landfill. I want to take a quick look. This is for you to understand the time scale. And this is important because you need to think and understand the time scale. When did all this start? When did these problems start? How old are they? I'm going back 4,550 million years. This is since the planet was formed. The universe was formed 4,550 million years. Man has been around only for 1.8 million years. That's it. That's the human beings have been around for that long. And everything was good till 200 years ago. So it is, this time perspective is important. Only 200 years ago, we found the magic Lego toys coming from the distillation of oil. And from the crude distillation of crude oil, we got all the wonderful toys to play with: benzene, xylene, anthracene, naphthalene. As organic chemists, you got all these molecules to try and start building, like Lego, new molecules to bring about new things for the benefit of mankind. And what do we see? We see some fantastic food additives, construction chemicals that did not exist even maybe 20 years ago, pesticides, because of which agro-industry has grown. Our agricultural production has doubled. Pharmaceuticals. In 1947, when we got independence, the average longevity in India was below 40. That means a person did not live above 40. Today, it has reached 67, thanks to pharmaceuticals. Paints and coatings, adhesives, polymers, cosmetics, all the wonderful cosmetics that we have as applications today. And of course, last but not the least, we have textile fibers, dyes and pigments, and specialty chemicals. Along with this, as I already explained, we have had a population explosion. So you can imagine products and population. So naturally, there has to be a growth in chemical production. 1930, that's again between the two wars, World War I and World War II. Chemical production was only 1 million tons. By the year 2000, the end of this last millennium, it was 400 million tons. Last year, 2020, 2 years ago, it had already touched 1,000 million tons. And the prediction is that it will double, it will be 2,000 million tons by 2030. Now, why this is important is all our understanding about everything, including textiles, is only these 70, 80, 90 years. That is the key point that I'm trying to make, that we don't have much understanding. So this is the UN report said that the production will double. What do we see in these 100 years? We have challenges: discharge of chemicals, air pollution, contaminated water. You can't drink water from nature anywhere. Hazardous waste, impact on human health and the environment. Now, if we look at the textile production chain, you start with fibers. It may be natural, man-made, or synthetic, animal origin, whatever. From there, you make yarn. From yarn, you make fabric. From fabric, you make products. And then you have the consumer usage, and finally, it goes to waste. Along this supply chain, we are using over 8,000 chemicals. So 8,000 plus chemicals are used in the textile supply chain. Why do we need these? Because we created all these fantastic effects. We have antimicrobial socks, which don't smell. We have got oil and water repellent fabric, so I can go out and be in the rain, be in the snow, be in the heat. I have wrinkle-free shirts, we have soft absorbent towels, we have flame-retardant uniforms and others, and there are 100 different functional finishes, each requiring a certain kind of a chemical. The new challenge is that all our clothes that are produced in the last 50 years, now we realize that they are breaking down, and they have reached the finest particles, which are now called as microfibers. They may be microplastics, they may be polyesters, or they may be even cellulosic material. And where do we find them? Unfortunately, they were found in the fresh snow that has fallen even in Antarctica and on the Arctic Circle. Fresh snow contains microplastics. They are found in human lungs, in breast milk, in human blood, and they have also been found in the remotest part of planet Earth. Just like Mount Everest is 29,000 feet high, it's about 6 kilometers plus. You have the Mariana Trench, which is 10 kilometers deep into the ocean. It's the deepest part. And at the bottom of the ocean, 10 kilometers down, they have found microplastics. So we have reached every corner of the planet already. It's no looking back. How has this been? What mitigation issues have been done over the last years? There has been laws, so governments have been coming with legislation. You have got eco-labels, so companies and governments have come with some criteria which define eco-labels. Different reputed brands have been coming with their own guidelines and their own criteria. And you have, of course, media and NGOs that are also bringing this to consumer awareness and trying to find ways to mitigate these issues. Today, the United Nations in 2015 at Nairobi, that I think year is wrong, it should be 2015, they came up with 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And these development goals are now being implemented in each and every country, including India. We are a signatory to this as well. Now, each one is a very big topic, and we have to break it down. Perhaps the textile production and manufacturing is in almost all these topics somewhere or the other, in some form or the other. We have to try and see these would be the guiding lights for our sustainability initiatives that we look at and see which are the textile-related issues in these sustainable development goals. Different tools are available for measuring sustainability. Whatever we do, we cannot progress unless there is a tool for measurement. So you have got, I've just put a few over here, like life cycle assessment we spoke about yesterday. You can measure your carbon footprint, your water footprint, resource utilization, energy, social responsibility. To give you an idea, we're working with some big brands now. They have made a commitment that they will have a 20% reduction in their carbon footprint. What they mean is that they will have 20% less use of resources, less use of electricity. So we are currently mapping about 2,000 stores worldwide to see how much electricity is used in their stores, in their factories, in their production. And then you will have a baseline, because today there is no data. So when you say 20% reduction of what? Where do you start? India has made a commitment, which is the longest commitment. We have made a commitment to reach net zero by I think it's 70 years from now, 2070. How will we start if we don't measure? Now, I've picked up some of the points that were in your agenda over here. I've not covered all, but some of these so that, we can look at how they impact. I feel the material and design, both are going to be important, particularly from a circularity point of view. So just some examples over here. Now, this is the 3D manufacturing. They have taken new materials. They're looking at mushroom roots and biomass. How many of these will become commercial? How many of these will become viable? Only time will tell. But innovation starts like this. I mean, everything starts with a concept, with an idea. Here's another one. They have come with a garment which is fully recyclable. It is circular. Let me give you an example. I was at a conference once and there was a discussion on circularity. And incidentally, there was a German professor who was at the head. An Adidas shoe or a sports shoe, a Nike shoe, can you guess how many components may be in a shoe? Anyone wants to guess? Somewhere between 80 to 100 components are in one shoe. So the question is, how will you recycle this shoe? You cannot separate 80 to 100 components from one shoe. So there have to be novel thoughts of design. So the question I asked this German professor, and he thought for a while, he says, I think, he says, this was a thought, of course, we don't know what will happen. I think all components will have to come from a single chemistry, so that when we want to recycle, it would then be broken down into small molecules of the same chemistry. This is exactly what this brand has done. This article is made from nylon 6. So this is the first commercial thing. What I told you about was already 10 years ago at a conference. This is today on the net. You can try and look up. This is a circular series by this brand. I'm not sure how I want to pronounce that name, but it says Napapiri, right? And this is a nylon garment. Let's try and read this little bit, because the polymer is nylon 6. which is both durable and high performing, but is also easily recycled. The development process for the jacket was particularly long and challenging as a number of components had to be designed from scratch. For example, the insulation material and zips all had to be made from nylon so you can recycle the product. The only way we can do this is by thinking about the end of life of an article when we design an article. And this is where the role of designers will come in. So material and design for circularity, here's another example. How do you open up a garment? Now here are heat dissolving stitching threads. So automatically, if you subject the garment to a certain temperature, it will just split up into different components, which can then go for recycling. Such ideas need to originate from all the young minds over here. How are we going to recycle our material? Here is something else that somebody is working on, compostable material. That means you just put it in the soil and it degrades, it decomposes into back to nature. So these are some experiments that are going on compostable materials. Here are new fibers. They were perhaps used at some time, but people are exploring pineapple. You've got lotus milk that is from the lactic acid. You've got bamboo fibers here, and you've got something that comes from the crab shells and so on. So idea is to produce sustainable fibers. Now, the definition of sustainable is also going to be a very, very big challenge because it depends on who funds the word sustainable. According to that, the definition of sustainability unfortunately changes, right? Let's look at product and processes. Here we have got a process which is coming using liquid carbon dioxide, supercritical carbon dioxide instead of water. Today they can only dye polymers, but perhaps it's a matter of time that we will have new innovations that will come. The one on the right-hand side is an Indian invention. This is by a professor at IIT Mumbai, and he is also experimenting with ideas and technologies using carbon dioxide. We have here which is called Dye Recycle. So this is a company that's actually taking old clothes and extracting dyes from old clothes. And we have another one which is EverDye. They have 2 new green solutions. So that everybody is looking at processes which will make things easier. Here we have an innovation. I had the chance of visiting this factory last Tuesday. So this is in Cambridge in UK. And they are making colors using microbes. So these are microbial colorants, which will degrade, decompose, and go back to nature without causing any harm. For all this innovation, we need funding. I don't think funding is a problem. The world is ready to fund. We need new brains to come with ideas. Any idea, I don't think money is a problem. If there is an idea, money is available. These are just a few foundations, but there is money for the asking, provided you have an innovative idea. Collaboration, we mentioned, is the key. I've just listed 4 organizations, but each of these is a collaboration in itself. ZDHC came to birth, ma'am mentioned, as about 10 years ago, in 2019 to be precise, where competing brands came together to address a common problem. Hague Index, which was developed by the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, is again over 200 brands, and they have come with a common goal. So collaboration is the key. The Microfiber Consortium is looking at the challenge of microfibers. Again, a group of brands that have come together. There are 100 such examples, and I think what we are doing is bringing education institutions together to address these issues, and education is, I think, the right way forward. Technology, innovative technologies, use of nanotechnology, a completely new, not so new, I mean, it's been around for 10, 15 years, but we are finding newer applications each day. You have got new technologies in denim. Instead of using stone wash and the conventional way, we use lasers today. And there are techniques to do coloration without the use of salt and without the use of water, using ozone, which is relatively safe. H&M, one of the funders, has funded this organization, which is in Hong Kong. It's in the Hong Kong Polytechnic, which can actually take a garment and recycle the garment to make it back into original. Another one where they don't use any water at all. So it's a bubble jet technology. So here, technological innovations. You have a black made from algae. Brilliant ideas. Last but not the least, we come to education and training. Universities have come around the world which are providing very focused education. Leuphana is just below Hamburg. The university has got a dedicated department of sustainable chemistry. You have the University of Lund, you have the University of Edinburgh and Oxford, all have got programs in sustainability, environment, and these areas, which are growing very, very rapidly. This is the newsletter that I got in my inbox yesterday morning. So this is as current as it can get. And you can't read it down, so I'll read it for you. This is the newsletter from Fashion for Good. It's an organization that's based in Amsterdam. And it says, before making, let me read it exactly. Our reminder this week and every week is to take a moment and pause before making a purchase and ask yourself 6 questions. Do I really need it? How many times will I wear it? How long will it last? Will someone be able to use it after me? Can the material be recycled? Could I make, borrow, thrift, rent, or swap for something similar? These ideas were unknown even 5 years ago. I don't think in Europe or anywhere in the world these ideas were even discussed. Second-hand clothes? No way. But this is going to be the need, this is going to be the next trend, and this is from yesterday's newsletter. From the same newsletter, there is a workshop that was held on 25th and 26th of November, that means 3 or 4 days ago, right, where they were teaching how to repair and rewear fashion at the Fashion for Good Museum. So you can see this kind of trends are coming, and perhaps this is the right way forward. There is no right and wrong here. Each one has to come up with ideas that will take us one step forward. We at Nimkar Tech are into education as well. We provide online training for chemical management, and in the last 7 or 8 years, we have trained over 15,000 factories in 60 countries. Our training is imparted apart from English, in Chinese, in Latin Spanish, and in Italian. So it's available in any language across the world. So training is absolutely the key. So with these words, this idea was to give an overview of what's happening in the textile world. And as we go along to design our course, design our programs and our curricula, and as you enter the industry tomorrow, what to expect. These are just some few glimpses. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for gracing the prelude with your thought-provoking and interesting keynote. Just a second, sir. I would like to invite Dr. Hundekar to kindly felicitate Mr. Ulhas Nimkar as a keynote speaker. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to have with us our next keynote speaker, Mr. Dhruv Tripathi, CEO, F-Trend. With a great sense of current trends in fashion and ability to analyze the change, Mr. Dhruv established F-Trend company to develop a novel idea to help fashion marketers to identify the freshest fashion trends through unique consumers' behavior pattern and its translation into fashion product and other categories. F-Trend is continuously innovating and bringing up the global fashion trend as well as the consumer research that helps to form the next big mega trend. I would like to request Mr. Dhruv Tripathi to kindly start with the keynote.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me today. And a special thank to Dr. Manju ma'am for this great seminar and her vision, like she's leading and providing us a platform to create something beautiful and a future-focused lifestyle change, actually I would call it. And thanks to Dr. Ulhas for the wonderful insight on what's happening in textile world. So today, my main focus will be how we could analyze the consumer behavior and how we could use it for our sustainable development. So today I will not take much time since most of the things that we have discussed yesterday and at the evening we have covered all the major issues, like what's actually stopping us for not getting into sustainable development. But I will also try to to just focus on something that we could change in this world and we could develop the thing, that will actually, as a consumer perspective, will change everything, like how we should educate, how we should, as a brand owner or any company or a manufacturer or any retailer, those who want to change the world, it is very important for us. So as Dr. Ullas said, everything about the back end, but how many consumers do they really know what is happening at the back end? They do not even know. If you just go outside and ask to every 10 person, they will not even able to understand whatever they wear, is it really impacting the nature or environment, or it is really creating any pollution. So we need to just educate them, but how we could do that, this is the only issue. So as we see, currently, most of the system has developed like through the marketing, through the branding and all these exercises, the companies are trying to find the ways to increase the revenue. So how they do that? They just propel our desires. So basically, if we look back before 1919 or 1999, all the focus was to produce a product that is basically not desire-based, it was a need-based product. So basically, so suppose that if you wanted to have a Colgate toothpaste, you had only one Colgate or two other brands. But now one Colgate company produces more different kind of versions of their toothpaste with little bit improvement. So you have now more products to buy. So it's all about fulfilling your desires. So all the things that we moved from need-based economy to consumer desire-based economy should be stopped. To make them buy more, it is the only reason that we are actually getting into using a lot of resources every day. So for that purpose, I would suggest there should be an educational pattern from school level to the college level, and we should divide into two parts. One, those who have already passed the college and now they are all working as a professional or doing their business, or normal people, or those students from KG, they should be having some curriculum where they could have a syllabus or the moral values kind of syllabus, where they should be taught that buying a lot of the products, buying just for the desire, buying for just to fulfill your emotional things, it's not the important thing. Since fashion being a very much emotional kind of thing, so suppose that if you want to go buy some product, you just buy a product just because you love it and you want to show the other people that you are looking good, you want to create your own attitude, you want to create your own authority on your peers or your colleagues or in the society. So the thing is, like when we see a 2-year kid, they actually start seeing the world like they want to compete against others. So this competition leads to create more authority on other people. So this could help us to understand how the buying patterns actually work. So from beginning, we should just make sure that this competition should be stopped. We should be more, we should start becoming more human as a consumer, that we should care about other people's. Like as a school, we see the same uniform just to save ourselves, like, compete against other students and other people just because we are equality. So equality should be there as a curriculum, and we should also teach them that we should stop changing the thing that is the desire based, rather than we should make them believe that, okay, you should buy a thing or something as a syllabus that we could change, like you add some idea, like there should be no other thing that, like, like competing others as a whole new curriculum. Then at the college level, again, like, during the college time, again, we should enhance the syllabus for that purpose, where they could not be able to just going to buy a product just because they want to show, okay, this is a new style, this is a new thing that is coming to the market. So similar way, as a brand, we should be like, the marketing strategy as a brand should be stopped. Like, so when a brand starts a new season, for every season they start marketing campaign, they start marketing process to just propel that consumer desire so that they could buy a lot of product. And this whole ecosystem creates a new hope of desires that, okay, this new season, we are having a lot of new product, new styles, and we should create something more new style every 20 days if you talk about the fast fashion. So fast fashion industry has created something really sense of desire among the consumers, or we could say like they actually look into the consumer's value system that actually wants to consume more. So once the brands start producing little bit less and little bit more educating the consumers that whatever they are looking to buy the product, it's all about, it's not going to help them like to gain popularity or gain authority on others. So basically we must stop making brands to add more styles every 20 days or every season. Rather than we should work on something that is more sustainable way of living. Yeah, so yesterday, as we have discussed on branding and marketing perspective. So as we see, let's talk about some influencers, like how they propel the desire of the consumer that, okay, every day when we wake up and we see the new Instagram post, the celebrities are wearing something different, new styles. So what actually they do is just to propel again the desire of the consumer, okay, just buy more thing, look good, look stylish, and they promote a particular brand. So what happens when they start promoting the particular brand, it just become like another hard-hitting consumer emotion pattern that consumer want to go and shop the new style, they want to look that thing. So what happens, either they go for buying a fast fashion brand from Zara or something very cheaper version of the knockoff of that particular style. So what happens when we have the knockoff style, it's not sustainably produced. So this creates a whole new system where we find a lot of new products getting added every day. So this is really a very concerning. We should, rather than currently what we see, like, when somebody repeats the style, so suppose that your friends, they are repeating the style for the next day, or they're repeating the same clothes next day. So we start booing them, like, why the person is wearing the same thing? So in that case, we should actually glamorize the thing, like, if you are wearing the same thing, it's a very good thing. It's a very normal, it's a very, luxurious thing to wear something, repeating something. This will actually save a lot of new clothes. And I think if we talk about, like, it could save 1/4 of the, or about 1/3 of the total production rate. And another thing that we could do as a business model, it's all about creating a subscription-based business model where you have something, so suppose that Zara, H&M or other brand should offer a subscription-based model. I think they have started previously, but now they have stopped it. But it could also save about 1/4 of the total production rate. So suppose that somebody want to go at the Zara store and they just want to buy, they just want to get it, not to own it, and just to wear it and just return it back. So other people, those who want to buy it, own it, they could again wear it. So basically this will create, they will not have to produce number of styles, number of new, in the number of size. This could reduce the number of size, number of styles, number of cloths or fabrics generation. In that case, it will save a lot of our resources. So this will also save our electricity, or during the supply chain process, it will also slow down the production. And overall, these strategy will also work as like they will be, since if you look into for the Zara or any H&M or brand, what actually do they produce more than 1 lakh styles for a single style. So if we have the subscription model, it will save. So suppose that in Pune, if you go into the Zara store and the number of people that visiting the Pune store, it's 2 lakh per whole season. So if all those people are part of the subscription model, they could be able to save a lot of fabric, a lot of new styles, and just, I think if we divide it just by 1/4, if we do 1/4, it will be around, if suppose there's 1 lakh style for the Pune, then it could be reduced to around 80,000 or 40,000, something like that. So this could save a lot of our resources and a lot of electricity and a lot of other things. So my vision is to just work on a subscription-based business model and to create a society where consumers are more concerned about whenever they look into buying the product. They're not changing to become like a celebrity, or they do not want to create authority on others, but rather they want to be a sustainable part of the sustainability, and they are knowing what exactly they are buying it. So suppose that through this education model that we are proposing, it should be like the main idea, and from beginning of the life, when somebody starts thinking about the planet, then it will be as a value system that will change the whole value system of the consumer behavior. The attitude will change, and when we start glamorizing the thing through the media, as like most of the media, if we say in the morning, like, we see all the media channels are promoting, okay, this celebrity has won something new, and they just promote it like it's look good, and they have their new airport style or something like that. So what is make people to buy something more? But at the same time, what actually they do, it just they are creating a competition among the consumer that they should get more items, and this is leading to not a sustainable way of living of life. So in that case, sustainability should be taught through the media. They should start glamorizing. If suppose that some celebrity is wearing the same thing, then they should start using the keywords that, okay, this is something new, and this celebrity is doing a lot for this environment. So this is one of the things that the media is actually propelling the thing, and the media should be also emphasizing all the sustainable work that the many youth generations is doing. And apart from that, they should also start creating a stories through some covering some sustainable work, like so suppose that we are doing at GFI, so they should also start promoting themselves rather than like we should go to the media channel and should pitch our vision that, okay, you should cover our stories, but rather than media should also cover and should promote it aggressively, so that we could be able to create some kind of situation or environment where everything is like, more it is normal for the society. So once the thing becomes very normal for the society, it will be like more easy living for others, and as a humanity, it will also help people to just get more, we could say, more happiness kind of feeling. So currently, when we start changing a lot of new styles, new look, so what happens? Even consumers start feeling very depressed. They see if they do not look like their celebrity, they feel depressed that, okay, my counterpart, my colleague is doing, they are wearing a lot of new style. So we have seen a lot of movement like body positive movement over there. It's still running about, and they used to promote like, okay, looking good in any kind of styles or any dress. So suppose that somebody is not a skinny model and they are promoting some bodysuit, and all these kind of things are creating something, strong sense of sense of behavior among the consumer that, okay, it's very normal to look that not a perfect body. So similar way, we should also create a environment where wearing the same thing, wearing the less, it's also very normal for the society. So this is one of the thing. And then I would call the nomenclature of the thing, like the current branding system that we have for the reuse of the product, for the rent or thrift store, it should be removed. We should come up with a more creative direction for that part. So basically, when we say like, I bought something from thrift store, or I'm using the old clothes, or I'm using someone else's cloth, it's just becoming like, the people around them, they do not find them it's pleasing. They may like boo them. They will call them, okay, the person is wearing something very old or something very used cloth. But rather than, we should create a store where we could give some new names. So suppose that we want to, one of the name we could add like recreated product, or something subscription. When we are subscription based model, it will become very normal for the people to get it, and they could also say like, okay, I bought it from something from subscription company. So this will create something where we will not be get discouraged for wearing something that is old or reused or from the thrift store. So this is where we should start glamorizing the thing. Like, we want to glamorize the thing. Okay, someone if wearing something recreated product, it's like, okay, this is something we could be done through our through psychology alternation of the consumer. So basically, when we start creating a program where we start altering the consumer mindset, like, okay, if you are wearing something, this is very glamorous, they will start feeling, okay, I'm a part of this current moment. So as Sir said, there's a FOMO moment, like fear of missing out. So once we start creating something, fear of missing out the thing, this will surely make them believe that, okay, this is something, I'm not of the part of this moment, I'm not using them. So this will help us to reduce the, not just, number of garment that every year a company manufacture, but also will make us feel sustainably happy, since many people do not have that kind of money. So even when we see, like, as a student life, we used to buy 200 rupee t-shirt or 300 rupee t-shirt, and we cannot achieve sustainability just buying 200 rupees t-shirt. So if we are getting something for a 7-day or 8-day or subscription, and we are getting just for only 100 or 200 rupees for wearing something like that, so anybody can go and buy it and get more emotionally secured, and this could help us to gain more sustainable way of living. So we should move from desire-based economy to need-based economy, and still we could find some ways to increase our revenue through sustainable wage. As once the thing will become more something, the innovation will come, the costing of the production will get down, and the electricity, or we will start saving some electricity. It will, as I think, as suggested by Dr. Ullas sir, it will be like, till by 2030, we'll be able to save a lot of billions of dollars. So basically, once we have done all these kind of little change, it will certainly, as a branding perspective, as a emotional perspective, will finally create something, a very good environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dhruv, for giving us an opportunity to experience your knowledge. I would like to invite Dr. Hundekar to felicitate Mr. Dhruv Tripathi. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll quickly take few questions from our audiences for both our keynote speakers. So any questions? Can we have a cordless mic, please?
Sir?
When should we invite them?
Yes, you have been there, witnessing Indian industry development, especially in fashion. What we see as educational institutes, we come across such good developments. They don't reach to us immediately. It takes a lot of time for us to understand or maybe, to act upon. If we want to initiate research for Indian fashion industry, what would be your suggestion, sir, for all of us? Yes, please.
So I think your question is very valid. The first thing that comes to my mind is how do you stay up to date? So what are the thoughts and what are the ideas in which we can remain abreast of what is happening? Now, there are key, let's say about 25, 30 sites that come to my mind. Thanks today to the technology, we can remain up to date. What happened last night is known to us. World Cup, we had who were winners, losers, already part of the discussion. That Germany is out now. He knew it sitting here in India because of technology. We need to go and subscribe to maybe 30 newsletters. And I could share some of those sites with you. These 30 newsletters will give you an update of what is happening across the world. Similarly, you can take the top 50 colleges and you will have an access to what kind of research is going on in each of these. See, today there is so much happening. We have to choose what we can contribute, where we can really bring value. We have to make sure that we choose such topics where we can really deliver. Now, if we choose something where it needs extremely complicated equipment, which has happened many times in the past, from Mumbai universities, Mumbai colleges, I won't name any college, but they have taken on topics which are way beyond the ability of the college to do. We should not choose those. There are hundreds of research projects which can fall within our scope and where we can really deliver. I think being aware of what is happening, what is the need of the industry, and then choosing out of those projects where we could add value. Because I think with our resource that is there, and the students are so enthusiastic, I have seen across in the last so many years, I think there is a lot of things that can be done.
Yes, thank you, sir. As being the head of this Nibkar Tech, you must have gone through, a lot of brands, what they are doing, how they are practicing. So, what is it that you would like to tell us that, one or two good practices which brands have initiated and one or two practices where, they have to stop this?
Now, this is a very big topic, probably a long discussion, but if we take the journey of this thing, everything starts with a material. So what are the brands doing? They are researching material today. Then the journey from the material to the product. So journey goes through right from the material to making of maybe, like I said, the yarn, the fabrics, the actual production. And in this, there are all small steps and processes. For example, in the early years, there was a lot of wastage during manufacture of garments. Now with AutoCAD and auto systems, the wastage was reduced. Small things that the brands have been initiating over the last 25, 30 years are all adding to this sustainability. What are they doing today? They are measuring something that has never been measured in the past. For example, as I told you in my presentation, that they're measuring their electricity and their carbon footprint. Now, this is not something that was measured. Can we actually find the tools that are there? Can we go to Indian brands and have some benchmarking for Indian brands? Because as Mr. Rahul Mehta said yesterday, we come with the SURE project. Yeah. These are the things that they will have to do, what was done abroad. So there need to be tools for mapping this. Then how will you calculate tomorrow's water footprint? Can this be something? So we'll have to make small steps wherein you probably start with some brands, associated with a brand, try and go deep down into their supply chain, try and understand what resources they are having, what kind of processes they are using. Have they made any initiatives? I'm sure all of you have seen the new jeans by Levi's called Waterless. Yeah. It's water and LESS. Now there are 50 techniques that Levi's developed in order to reduce the quantity of water. And each of these 50 techniques adds a little bit to the saving in water. So this is an initiative from the brand for preserving or conserving water. So we talked about electricity, you talked about water. I remember almost many years ago, a company which is based in Hamburg, Autoversand, and they were a mail order company. So sometimes you buy on a catalog and then you don't like it at home, you send it back. But when you send it back, the van comes to your house, it picks up the article, it takes back, there is a packaging involved. Who calculates all this? Now they have started measuring and mapping this. As I said, the most important thing is the ability to measure and map something. So they did this 20 years ago. And they actually took a carbon when these discussions were also not there. Or you look at companies like IKEA of Sweden, now they are in India also, the furniture company. They were looking at many things that we are looking today. They were looking in early 2000s. So 2005, 2006, they were already investigating so many issues which have become mainstream today. So future-looking, futuristic ideas. We can see where we can fit in. Perhaps starting with Indian brands, because it's a matter of time they will catch up. They will have to catch up. And if we can support them in these initiatives, I think that's a step forward.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone has questions for sir?
I think students should start asking questions.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
Anyone who's going to be the first? Always the first one is difficult. Yeah, right? I have the best student here first. Fantastic. Give him a big hand. He's only 77-year-old student right now. And I think the best student ever.
I think 87.
87. My apologies. I got a decade wrong. No, I think... No, it's not on. Let them switch it on. But in the meantime, please think of some questions, okay?
You have spoken very nicely. In fact, I think there's a lot to learn for me from you. One of the things which I had in mind is that all these things are being done either in English or Latin or French, German. Why not in our mother tongue? Because there are lots of people in India who have been doing already these things at a ground level. And I personally feel these good ideas should also be put into the vernacular papers, in which case I will be very happy if somebody gives me this and I put the whole thing in Marathi, which is my mother tongue. Somebody should do it in Gujarati, because these are the people, these are the ideas. They might have been already been doing, but I have learned one thing. There is always something new which comes from each and every person. So I think it would be a very nice idea to put this idea into the mother tongues in each of the states. So they will come up with these ideas and come back.
I 100% agree with your suggestion and your idea. No doubt it's a fantastic idea. If you look at the GHS, that is the Global Harmonized System of Classification of Chemicals, they have come up with a language of symbols which does not need communication. Now, our workers in India, when they are handling chemicals, they look at the symbol and then they understand the hazard. Is it a health hazard? Is it an inhalation hazard? Is it a skin hazard? Is it an environmental hazard? So yes, they have moved away from language to this. I think your idea is brilliant. This could be something that we can do at the college level, and we can make first an English module. In fact, this is how exactly we at Nemkar Tech, when we went in multi-languages, we made the principal module in English. And then somebody said that we want it in Chinese. So we had the same module translated in Chinese. Then somebody came from Brazil and from Argentina and from Chile, and they said that we want it in Spanish, but it's a different Spanish to Spain. It's Latin Spanish, the language. So we made it in that. For Italy, we made it in Italian. So I think this is a great idea. We can make this, in fact, we have started making these safety symbols and the language there, apart from symbols, there is also a language now in all Indian state languages. Because the workers who are handling these, they can read and they can then take the corrective action. I think that's a great suggestion from sir. Yeah, ma'am? So, anyone has come with some question? I'll give her a big hand. See, because we made a lot of mistakes in my generation, for you to correct many of these now. So I'm sorry about that, but that's the way it is, right? Innovation happened in these 50, 70 years.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, sir. So I had this that nowadays, like how do luxury brands practice sustainability? Because their products are generally made out of animals and animal skins and all of that. They do have a range of eco-friendly products, but the scale of that and the ratio of that is very little as compared to animal skin and animal leather products. And they practice sustainability. So I wanted to know, how do they take sustainability as a consideration, because they have such a big contribution in the industry.
I think your question is very true, very valid, and very, very good question. I have a few thoughts that as you were speaking. First of all, that they are using animal skins. They will continue to do so till there is a buyer, right? Today, organizations like PETA are educating the consumers, and there is huge movement across the world that don't want animal skins. So many brands are reducing that, and I don't know if you've seen, but there are at least 7 or 8 new type of leathers that have come into the market, which are from biosources. You can't tell the difference. I've been, surprised to see the effect, the feel, the look and the feel and everything. And these are completely vegan sources. They don't use any animal skin. Apart from only brands, animal consumption is the biggest challenge on the planet. In fact, I don't know if you know, but by rearing either pigs in Europe or the cattle for feeding, the contribution of greenhouse gases is much more even than the automobile, because of the production of methane, which is 4 times more, toxic for greenhouse effect. So these are issues that are coming up, and of course you have got now new technologies that are coming up. I don't know if you've seen lab-grown meat that is being there, so you don't kill an animal, but you can have a burger. So you can have a McDonald's burger without killing any animal. You can have so new ideas are going to change the world, in my opinion, in less than 5 years. And that is why yesterday when we were discussing what should our education program be, we have to be visionaries and think what will be needed maybe 5 years down the line. So that when you graduate, when you are out and you are ready with new ideas, new thoughts. I think it's a brilliant question. And of course, as I said, as long as consumers still buy, somebody will be there to sell. That's the challenge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Any
Thank you.
questions for Mr. Dhruv Tripathi for consumer research and forecasting? Dhruv sir, I have got one question for you. So far all of us have been witnessing forecasting done at different level of fashion. So is there any forecast available for sustainability? And if not, what can be done for it?
Basically, currently the forecasts are done for the design development, and currently the pattern in industry is like, you need to come up with a new style, new looks. So basically, we create a new pattern for every season. New themes are introduced and new colors are introduced to just tap the consumer mindset and apply them. But for the sustainability to happen as a part of fashion industry, we should stop working on like for every season. So suppose that I, as a company that we work with H&M, and so they demand at least 8 seasonal themes for them. But we should, as discussed by Dr. Lasser, like we should reduce it to only 2 seasons. And this should be a trend, but we could not find, like, working with all those fast fashion companies, they are actually looking for that. They actually demand 2 years ahead of the season, they want to have the forecast, so they could be prepared for what exactly going to happen in the next 2 years. So you could understand that, like, for the next 2 years, they are prepared to come up with more revenue generation. So this is where we need to be more sustainable into our buying process. So what exactly we could do as a forecasting, like, how the consumers would react and how we could teach them, like, to get into something more as a value system, as a consumer behavior, and how we could change the consumer attitude. So this could be a part of the research that we should certainly work on as a whole ecosystem from the college or from other part, like those as academia, like, to find some ways where we could add or some campaign through which we could start educating the consumers how they should be part of this whole sustainable movement. So as a we have the opportunity to find when we could become sustainable. So as a consumer mindset, as I see in my personal view, until unless we stop changing the system where buying more, looking good, and more happiness comes when we buy something different, it's not going to stop, we could not do that. So this is where we need to start working and finding and measuring the thing, what will happen after 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. This is what we need to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Please stay tuned as there is a lot more on the other side, as we'll be taking a short break for lunch, and we will start our next sessions sharp at 2 o'clock. Thank you so much.